family, how you guys doing? Welcome to Phie.Love Intuitive Conversations. I hope you guys are good. Yeah. If you like my content, please do like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, if there's any negativity, if there's any hate, please do keep that on your side of the street, okay? It won't be acknowledged. So, family, in this video, I'm being guided by Spirit to briefly talk about an issue around us consciously mastering our ability to choose and align with our inner authority or with the outer, or with the outer appearance, or with the outer appearance of authority, right? And I say with the outer appearance of authority because the outside is never the authority. The outside is something we choose to allow to be an authority in our lives, right? And in our experience, and to be an authority over our attention and our energy, and where we believe we do and don't have limitation, right? Until you become conscious about your ability to choose between having the external world be what dictates your experience, or your inner world having also the power, if not more, to dictate what you choose to allow to affect you, what you choose to allow to control your energy, what you choose to allow to feed your energy and your attention into and give authority over that, what you choose to allow yourself to react to on the outside, right? What you choose to allow yourself to respond to. Once you start understanding that there's a choice, your experience and the way you move through your experience tends to change completely, okay? You start recognizing how much accountability and authority you actually do have, and the plethora of options and choices you have available to you on how to mold and decide what does have a place in your reality and what doesn't, right? Now, this in itself is also a very big and broad topic, so I'm going to narrow down today on I'm going to focus on something a little more practical, right? That you can actually challenge yourself. After watching this video, you can consciously choose to challenge yourself in your everyday, to engage in what we're going to talk about today, and start developing a habit and a new cycle, and breaking the old perspective or way of being, where you just relinquish yourself all the time unconsciously to the outside world. Challenge yourself. And also, I know that by learning how to master this, right, you're learning how to master choosing whether you allow the outside world to be your master, or whether you actually allow your inner world, yourself, your inner world to be the master in your life. Mastering this also has you facing a whole lot of fears, has you also, if you're doing it consciously, it'll have you awakening to aspects of yourself that you didn't even know you were operating out of fear, out of insecurity, where you become aware to the root cause of certain hesitations, or what fears you have inside you that have you actually allow the outside world to be a master in your life. Okay, what kind of programming you've been subjecting yourself to. It's all, this exercise will have you confronting all of those things within yourself, and also recognizing that it's only something that you can confront and adjust and take control of within your own experience. It doesn't engage or involve anybody else out there. It also highlights to you how much of your experience you need to learn to make about you, and stop always worrying about how you decide, how you move, how you think, or whatever it is affecting the next person, because you start learning how your inner world becomes the main experience and is the main experience. You just haven't been conscious about it, and that the outside world can actually start becoming something secondary. To the outside world, over time, you might come across as looking a little aloof. Why? Because you're learning how to consult yourself and your inner world first before you actually put into the outside world, right? Now, this is just a sort of a high level, broad perspective I'm giving of how to say, it's the foundation of the bigger topic, right? With regards to mastering your inner world, and the choice you have to have your inner world be the master or the outside world, right? In today's video, that was again long-winded. In today's video, Spirit would like, okay, if you've been guided to this video, you might be somebody who has a lot of people in your surroundings, right? Maybe you're somebody who's very responsive and reactive and controlled by the energy, the loudness, the demands, the assertions, the emotions, and whatever it is on your outside world, right? Completely unconscious, like most people, that you've relinquished all your control to the outside world and completely neglect your own personal authority. Out there, people may always say, don't give over your power. The power is within you, right? But if you're somebody who hasn't yet, figured out how to engage yourself, because that's something that you awaken to, right? It's something you grow into. It's one thing, before my own awakening time, I would hear people talk about the powers within you, this and that, and you'd, on a surface level, on the face of it, it sounded all good and you could somehow understand it. But when you're taking that, trying to make it something practical, when you're trying to understand what perspective do people who say that, like, what perspective are they actually coming from? And when you start moving into a place where you're actually becoming conscious of your inner world, and how your inner world is separate from the outside world with regards to the authority, right? You start understanding and you start taking control and following your inner world over relinquishing and submitting yourself to the outside world. You start understanding more and more what certain people talk about when they say the power is within you. But until that time comes, you're going to be the person who moves around unconsciously, the person who requires the outside world, the energy, the emotions, the assertions, the loudness, the propaganda, the demanding for your attention, the the expectations, the loudness, all of that, the stuff that's in your face, the distracting, the noisy, the tantrums, all the stuff that people have been programmed within the different characters that they choose to embody or live in, consciously or unconsciously. All of those things are the things that take authority. All of those things are the things that you follow, right? Just because it's loud, just because it's in your face, just because it's noisy, just because it's assertive, just because it's being theatrical, just because it's demanding your attention, just because it's throwing threats at you, it doesn't make it the strongest. It doesn't make it the authority, and it doesn't make it the truth. Just because it's being repeated and put into your face over and over and over again like propaganda, again, it doesn't make it the strongest, it doesn't make it the authority, and it doesn't make it the truth. It might be the thing that's competing and holding most of your attention and your awareness, but just because that's happening doesn't make it the truth. And this is something that you can be conscious about when you're engaging your screens, when you're also engaging relationships with people, when you find yourself confronted with people who are loud, who are demanding, who are full of expectation, who believe that they're the authority in your space, in your world, in the room, right? When they become combative, when they become aggressive, those are the things that you actually have a choice not to get pulled into. You have a choice not to make that the authority. You can make yourself the authority. You can always choose to just observe. You can choose to not be moved by the outside world. You can choose by not relinquishing and submitting and believing that you're always a part of that external experience. Believing that the next person's experience and what they're bringing into your space is your experience. By learning consciously, it takes practice and it takes time, okay? So it's why I say challenge yourself when people come into your space. Challenge yourself to not be moved. Challenge yourself to not respond. Challenge yourself to just observe. Challenge yourself to be conscious about your own emotions, about your own feelings, about your own reactions. Just because someone's coming into your space with loudness, with high energy, with demanding your attention, demanding for you to feed into their story, demanding for you to feed into their theatrics and their appearance and what they're putting forward to appear as something that is urgent and demands for you to see, to immediately respond to and give your energy to immediately. I challenge you to release the fear of what the next person's going to think, what the next person's going to say, how the next person's going to react, what the next person's emotions might be. I challenge you to let it be, observe it, let it pass, and just observe yourself. I challenge you to move into a cycle of being silent and just watching them, regardless of how it makes them feel, regardless of what you think that they think, regardless of what you think that they're going to do. By simply being silent, by simply going into observation, by simply taking the time to consult yourself, to observe yourself, to feel yourself, to not participate, to not embody the energy and the experience that the outside world. Imagine yourself in a glass cylinder, being the observer to everybody on the outside doing all kinds of things, moving around, shouting, screaming, doing all of it. Like it's a movie, right? In character, because that's what it is. They're all in character, unconscious. You start understanding that and becoming the observer in that way, and overcome the fear of not engaging, overcome the fear of not participating, becoming conscious, like I've said a while ago, becoming conscious of your choice to participate, to not participate, to say yes, to say no, to speak, to react, to be a part or be silent. Your choice to let something pass by. Most things that you've been programmed, literally programmed to believe are important and urgent and need to be seen to right now. I'm telling you, 95% of it isn't. 95% of it can wait. 95% of things people get hectic and worked up and urgent about, right? Everything's an emergency. Also, when you're having arguments, when people want things done, everything's handled like it's a fucking emergency. It's not necessary. You have an advantage over others knowing that and moving in that. You then take the time, your time, that you have, that you're allowed to engage in, and not have to be a part of the outside script of behavior. You take that time to consciously learn how to decide, consciously learn how you're going to move, consciously decide, this is going to be in my reality, this isn't. This is important, this isn't. Observe people being in their energy. Don't participate in people's energy. Learn to listen. Don't listen to respond, right? Because by doing that, by always going the reactionary route, you relinquish your power. You basically tell yourself and unconsciously live in an experience in a world that says you don't have power, that says you don't have a choice, that says you have to react and give in now. And it's not the truth. That says because I'm loud, because I'm in your face, because I hold this position within the script of characters within our society, I have the authority. You listen to me. When my voice speaks, you listen, you act, you respond. You have a choice not to listen. You have a choice not to react. You have a choice not to respond. You can always choose to go the other way. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. You can choose to be silent. You can choose to let the theatric or the tantrum or the person who's always going into outbursts and temper tantrums, or who acts like a small child, who believes everything is mine, now, who's always accusing and pointing, move into just being observing of them. Allowed to let people's emotions and the theatrical part of things pass, ground, and then you decide what is the next pathway forward. Don't let people rush you into things. Don't let any of that happen. Don't be moved by your outside world, okay? You can always choose between your inner authority or allow the outside world to be your authority. And from the time that you're a child, you don't know anything more than your outside world being your authority, right? Or appearing and grooming you into being your authority, and everyone else also living in that way. Everyone lives in an experience of reacting to one another on the outside, not paying attention to the experience, not paying attention to themselves. the moment you do that, you start moving through the world in a way that no one else around you is. You have an advantage that others don't, simply because of their lack of awareness, lack of self-awareness, and lack of self-control, and lack of understanding of where they have the ability and the choice to choose. Not even realizing that when you choose the outside, you're always choosing against yourself. And also when you choose yourself indirectly, it's also beneficial to the outside world. You're setting an example. You're moving in your own authority and an energy that also trains the outside world to understand that they don't have control over you, your energy. They don't have control. They're not your authority. And even though it might for some time show as tantrums and as reactions in different ways and shapes and magnitudes, again, you choose yourself, you choose your grounding, you choose your inner world, and you allow those things to just happen. Don't be afraid of them. There's nothing anybody can do to you for not responding to their unconscious ways of being. There's nothing anybody can do to you for choosing not to participate and amplify their energy and their experience, their demands and their wants. If you're engaging with an adult, expecting you, another adult, to do things for them, nothing's going to happen to you for saying no. Nothing's going to happen to you for staying quiet and waiting for them to go off and do things and look after and take care of themselves. Okay? You need to observe yourself and take accountability for wanting to always give in to the programmed emotions that tell you that you're selfish, programmed emotions that tell you that something bad is going to happen, programmed emotions that tell you, oh my God, I won't be needed. That's also an extremely toxic place to be living out of, wanting to always be needed and feeling scared and abandoned at a threat of somebody, something, or whatever it is out there not needing you. Why do you want to be needed? What do you need to confront inside yourself, wanting to always be needed, having people dependent and reliant on you? What's missing that you need that to fill you and to soothe you? What are you not acknowledging within yourself? What have you been programmed? Because that will also make you always submit to the outside world, wanting the outside world to give to you, to feed you where you feel that you need to be needed. Needing to be needed is also a place of lack, okay? You believe you're missing something. You're needing something from the outside world. Even though in your mind you feel like you're actually giving, right? You're giving from a place of what you have, but you're operating in an unconscious place of lack because you want to be needed. You need to be needed, right? So overcome that as well, because it can also sabotage you from allowing yourself to be, from allowing you and your experience to be governed from your inner authority. Okay, and sit in that comfortably with no fear and no insecurity of the outside world going off and being what it is, right? Being afraid to offend the outside world because you're afraid that you're not going to be needed. That need you need to be needed is not going to be seen to. We don't think about it in that way. We don't look at ourselves in those ways. And we don't also recognize how those things can sabotage us. It's all a layered issue that we always know we need to go within and investigate ourselves. Sometimes these things are not things that you're going to work out and find with sitting in a psychologist's office. Because in the same breath, while you're with a psychologist, you're still acting out of your programming, you're still acting out of character. You're still worried and thinking about what the next person's going to think of you. You only engage in so much. You only express so much. But you can be comfortable with yourself and the divine. Okay. So don't be moved by things in the outside world that try to capture your perception, your energy, and your own authority. If people are making noise, if people are being loud, if people are trying to intimidate you, handling you out of their ego, trying to distract you, shouting at you, ground yourself and learn to just pay attention to the substance. Don't pay attention to the theatrics. Don't pay attention to emotions. Don't pay attention to everything trying to distract you. Pay attention to substance. Pay attention if someone's actually asking you a question or requiring anything of substance out of you. If not, let people have the last say. Let people be where they are. If they don't owe you anything, if they don't need anything from you, you can move on with your life. Okay? Don't get caught up in people's unconscious bullshit, because you're both, like I've said before, you're going to just be both fools getting into things with one another. Nobody on the outside looking at you will be able to tell who isn't the fool, because you're in the same energy, right? So, self-control, self-awareness. Okay? Anyway, I think I'm going to stop there. Okay? Build your discernment. When you move into a place where your inner becomes your authority, you start also building your discernment, because you're actually paying attention and observing the outside. You're not within it. If you allow yourself to ground and observe, you're able to question, you're able to see things. You're not attached and feeling like you're a part of it, right? So don't let the outside world move you, and don't let the outside world override your discernment and your perception. Don't let the outside world override your discernment and your own position on how you see and experience and observe the outside. Okay, I hope that made sense. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Today, I'm going to pull a card from the Ascended Masters deck, okay, by Doreen Virtue, and see what we can excuse me, and see what we can, well, where spirit can support our conversation, or give someone who's watching our video a nudge in a specific direction. Okay. Let's see. Now, please have one card, spirit. Thank you. Focus upon your strengths. That aligns nicely. Okay. So all your strength, everything you need is on the inside. And you engage that, not by listening to somebody say the power is within you, but by literally not consciously choosing that, consciously choosing between the outside world being the authority and, being engaged out there, or choosing to follow what's happening on your inside, choosing whether you're going to participate or not participate. Okay? Not matching the energy on the outside. Divorce yourself from the programming of feeling like you need to match the outside energy. And you do this, like I said, challenge yourself in little ways, where you're generally programmed to have to smile to make someone else in the atmosphere comfortable. If you don't feel like smiling, don't smile. Okay? If you example. But take control of your own energy. You don't have to always move according to the script and the expectations on the outside, okay? And as you start learning and challenging yourself, becoming more conscious about yourself and observing yourself, your feelings, your emotions, your reactions, your responses, where it is that you find yourself matching the outside energy because it's what you've been programmed to do, right? Doing things that you don't want to do. Doing things because people out there said it's right. Because you feel like you've been told that if you don't behave or do this way, it's going to make somebody uncomfortable. It's going to hurt somebody's feelings. It's going to make someone feel neglected. No. You start following your inner authority and be okay with the outside world dealing with it. Have the courage. Overcome the fears and layered fears that you'll get to know and become accustomed to over time as you commit to it and yourself. Okay, focus on your strengths. Let's see what the book has to say. Focus upon your strengths. Found it. The Ascendant Master is Apollo. Okay. Apollo. And the book says, this card reminds you to focus upon your strengths and not upon any perceived weaknesses. Okay, you're not weak. Just because the outside, like I said, just because the outside might be loud, intimidating, distracting, and demanding, doesn't mean that it's stronger than you are. And just because it's in a so-called position of authority in certain playouts of a character doesn't mean that it's the authority over you. Okay. Your strengths could include your loving heart, pure intentions, people skills, hobbies, or something that you excel in, even your ability to observe and be silent. As a side note, even if your talents skill need polishing, these are strengths and assets. The more you bless and appreciate your strengths, the stronger they'll grow. If you focus upon so-called weaknesses, they will grow. This card comes to you as a reminder of the importance of viewing yourself with compassion and love. Anytime you find yourself thinking or feeling poorly about yourself, focus upon your strengths instead. Additional meanings for this card. Use daily positive affirmations to lift your energy and faith. Speak of yourself in positive terms. Begin an exercise program to build and tone your muscles. This is a message of love or healing about a brother or a brother figure. Okay, so don't think that you can't do it. Everybody can do it. It just takes a little bit of effort, a little bit of awareness, starting to operate a little more consciously about yourself, be more aware of yourself, and start learning how to master self-control and awareness at the same time. Okay, and challenging yourself, understanding that the outside is a moment. People work in loops. They may go through one emotion now. When they're over it, they're over it. Life goes on, okay? So you can play with the outside a little bit in that kind of way. Don't take it too seriously, okay? Master yourself. And you also then pay attention to what you're moving into a new place of observing. What is your observance and the strengthening of your discernment showing you? What truth is it exposing to you that you were not paying attention to in the past because you were unconscious and completely engaged and always believing that you have to be a part of the experience and a reaction to the experience on the outside, okay? Your entire world experience and perspective will change over time, all of it. You'll become a completely different person. Your energy will change, the people around you will change, and who you are aspects of you that you haven't been working or even engaged in ever in your life will start becoming, a main feature in the way you operate and move. But again, it takes commitment, it takes awareness, it takes time, and it takes building your self-control and awareness as well. Okay? And sticking to it, and consciously also patting yourself on the back when you realize and awaken to yourself overcoming a fear by every single time that you choose not to allow the external world to be the master of your experience. Okay? Anyway, I've said enough. I'm gonna leave it there. I'll see you in the next video, family. Okay?